to throw it. Slant. This bud's for you, Mizzou.
They are carving up this LSU defense.
It don't get no better than that, man.
Now Cook's going to throw the deep ball, and Burton's past the defense. Touchdown, Luther Burton. 47 yards.
Snap to place. Kick is up. It is. Yes. Oh, walk-off winner from 61. Harrison Mevis.
This is the Mizzou-cast.
Howdy, Tiger fans, and welcome to the Mizzou-cast. I'm your host, Brendan Anthony. Joining me, as always, is my longtime brother, Colin Anthony.
What's up, dum-dums?
And we are coming to you after week one of college football 2025, where Missouri is 1-0 on the season.
They are. They beat the Central Arkansas Bearcats.
The Central Arkansas Bearcats went down after Missouri threw down a 60 bomb on a 60 burger.
Yeah.
On the Bearcats.
Yeah, it was everything came up Mizzou. It was what we want. It was the win against the Bearcat, letter school type thing, where we put up a 60 burger and we give up 6 late in mop-up time. But yeah, even in the Drew Lock era, that's the last time I remember really thumping Bearcats.
Yeah.
But even during those years, it was kind of like, yeah, we scored 70 against Missouri State, but they scored like 55.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't great. Yeah,
the defense stepped up just as much as the offense. So it was honestly, as a Mizzou fan, there's some things that we could talk about, but you can't ask for a better week one outcome. The quarterback, has to have everybody excited. The running back has to have everybody excited. The receiving core has to have people excited. The tight end has to be people excited. The defense looked good. The offensive line early, everybody's, I've seen it online already. People saw the same thing I did, that when the Bearcats were rested, it wasn't like we were controlling the line of scrimmage the way you would hope we would, and it doesn't bode well for, having to play SEC defensive lines. But as the Bearcats wore down, Mizzou started to really, just take hold of the game. The Bearcats could do nothing. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a lot to get into because of surprise injuries, and it's easy to nitpick when the expectations are as high as Missouri seems to have grown their expectations to. But before we get into all that, Colin, we got an action-packed show. There's something I want to get into with you. Semi-unrelated, which is, I just think our fans will be interested in this because, we beat Central Arkansas. We're going to get into all of that. But next week's Kansas, the Jayhawks, the biggest rivalry this program's ever had. One thing that I think I alluded to was that the athletic department had invited me and the 1960 team. I know, I'm going to get into it briefly. Just give me a second. To this game. They're going to honor the 1960 team. It's going to be great. But I had mentioned to Colin off air that I had a conversation with the producer for the Paul Feinbaum show, which because of the book, I've had the fortune of being on the Feinbaum show a few times. And I said, hey, we found out today, we're recording this on Sunday, that SEC Nation is coming to Columbia this weekend for the Kansas Border War game. And so I'm like, hey, these guys are going to be in town, this whole thing. If you're going to get into the border war, SEC people, we got stories for you, this whole thing. And I can give you some of these guys who are going to be in town. We can do interviews, whatever. And he wrote back and said, hey, I'm going to put you in touch with the right people. They're going to be in Columbia Thursday, Friday, Saturday for SEC Nation. And maybe, just maybe, we will be featured in some way on SEC Nation to talk about. There's no better representatives, I think, for Mizzou about how much we hate fucking Kansas than, I don't know, a podcast that's been going on for 14 years with a segment called Kansas News where we do nothing but take a dump on the state of Kansas and the people held within. Yeah. So if we can weasel our way into SEC Nation, keep an eye out for that. Now, they've got that out of the way. Let's talk football. Yes. Obviously, I think storyline number one of this game by a shot is the performance of Beau Pribula, our new starting quarterback. No
23 for 28. 283, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns.
And just looked dominant. I mean, he looked super fast. He looked super accurate. He looked like the quarterback that was promised. And we have been watching Brady Cook have nothing but success for this program for the last couple of years. And this guy looks so much sharper, Colin.
We're already throwing shade on Brady, but
I'm not throwing shade on Brady. I'm just saying Pribula looked that fucking good.
You know, Cook never looked this good in a Bearcat game. But in truth, like I said, nobody has since Drew Lock, and he looked very fast, very mobile, to the point where it's like, okay, pump the brakes, Chief. We don't need to,
Yeah, show it all.
Yeah, we don't need to go running headlong into a brick wall to prove to everybody how tough you are. You're obviously tough, but let's not get ourselves injured against the Bearcats. But yeah, he threw the ball accurately. He was extremely mobile. I mean, as Mizzou fans, what more could you ask for? I mean, he looked worlds better than Archie Manning, the number 1 overall pick. No, I understand.
We didn't play Ohio State, did we?
Not the same level opponent. Not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that just if Arch Manning had looked like that, people would be going over the moon. He looked amazing, and I honestly, there's no aspect of his game that I watch. I'm like, that needs a little work. He needs a little polish. He needs a little this. He needs a little that. He doesn't need anything.
No, he looked ready for prime time. And that was the exciting thing, was that he was just ready to fucking go. Now, the flip side of that coin, obviously, is the injury to Sam Horn in the most fucking Mizzou way possible, where the first fucking play from scrimmage, this kid with the worst goddamn luck in the world, Sam Horn, who we've been talking about for years now. And I really, really would have liked to see what he could do.
Yeah, I did too.
He never got his shot, and he's not going to get his shot. I mean, we still don't have a full report on that. We won't. We'll
never know. He will be a mystery.
We'll find
forever.
out on Tuesday what's going on. But
we're never going to see him.
No,
like play quarterback for him.
He was wearing a full leg length fucking cast or brace during the game. He's likely out for the year.
A ligament has exploded, is my guess.
It fucking sucks.
I'm not a doctor, though, Brennan, admittedly.
No, and no one's going to mistake you for one. But, I was excited about this quarterback room. The depth of this quarterback room is as deep as I've in my entire life. I don't know that we've been as comfortable 3 deep as we were in this one. Well, now it's 2 deep because we did get to see Matt Zollers. He did look good in mop-up
3 for 3
duty.
for 58 yards and a touchdown.
In mop-up duty in the second half, it all should be noted. But Pribula is the guy. And frankly, if Horn hadn't gotten hurt, Colin, he would have had to do some fucking work.
Yeah, Pribula looked so good. It would have been...
Yeah.
I'll say this, though. One of the touchdowns he scored was like right at the beginning of the second half. That's probably Horn snaps, but regardless, he looked amazing.
But he made good on him.
Yeah, Horn would have really had to make hay while the sun was shining because Pribula from the word go looked great. And if our line is suspect, and who knows if they will be, maybe they'll gel.
Looked a little soft.
You're going to need some mobility back there. The left tackle position is concerning. Caden Green did not look overly impressive early.
And I think it's worth noting he's been left tackle for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Yeah. And the upsetting thing, it really is that these two guys, they want to play left tackle. Neither are good enough to do it, apparently.
Yeah.
And so the line looks a little unsettled. Ahmad Hardy, though, as advertised.
Yeah, but Colin, you talked about this early on in the game and Drinkwitz's use of Ahmad Hardy and how
he's just the ultimate troll. He's the ultimate troll.
Drinkwitz, by the way.
Yeah,
he's talking about.
He's like, everybody wants to see this new shiny toy we've got. So
everybody's talking about how good Hardy is. Let's see this motherfucker go.
And he doesn't even start the game. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just such a troll. You just can't give it. You can't give it the fans what they want. Like
that being said, everybody looked good.
No, for sure. But I was just like, God, this is the trolliest troll move. Like Drinkwitz is grabbing lightsabers and at press conferences, and he's barking at people, and he's just
wearing gold shoes.
Yeah, he's there's I don't know how much quarterback competition this was, and now we're trolling with the running backs. Like, this guy is just an internet troll, which, I mean, God love him. I'm not, but it's just like, you fucking troll.
Yeah, but we did finally get to see Hardy go, and he looked as good as advertised.
He looks big and fast. He's just a huge human being to move that fast.
And not just fast, untackleable. It just doesn't look like he ever wants to go down.
As good as Pribula looked, as good as the wide receivers looked, as good as the defense may have looked, the part that gave me the most hope for the season was Hardy, because I was like, he's going to be hard for anybody to tackle. And if you can establish just like a battering ram of a running game, you can ride that horse, and it's going to make Pribulo's life so much easier. If
he looked good with the offensive line being a little confused. Mm-hmm. Again, all of this prefaced by the opponent. This is the problem having a cupcake bloodletting opponent, which is that it looked good for what it was, but what was it? We don't know. We will find out next week, probably.
Yeah. Well, and Kansas looked good in their game, and I don't expect us to mop Kansas's ass. I think we can get into that later, but Kansas looked like they're going to be a legitimate opponent. They're certainly going to be better than the Bearcats. We're going to find out all about our line there. One of the most concerning things that came out of this game was our kicker got hurt.
Yeah, Blake Craig.
We have to make a tackle playing the Bearcats for some reason.
Now, we know he's going to be out for a few weeks. That's what the most recent report is. Again, Tuesday is when the big report comes out. But, Blake Craig, you look so good. You look so good. You made short ones. You made long ones.
That long one he made. I mean,
oh my God! I think it was a 55-yard kick.
It could have made a 65-yard kick. I mean, he's got a humongous leg. And if you told me when Mevis was gone, and I'm like, oh man, what a loss for this program. And then here comes Craig, and he's like, nope,
Craig the leg.
Yeah, I've got a giant kicking leg too. So long, Mevis.
Yeah, but he's down for the count for. Well, we don't know. He's down for now.
Yeah. I don't know who his backup is.
His backup made 3 extra points, didn't have any field goal attempts. Mm-hmm. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But that's scary going into a tough SEC season. But
so hopefully our new kicker will be fine. We don't have to recruit Kathy Ireland for the soccer team.
For anybody who needs a reference.
Yeah, play the drop.
If we're going to get nitpicky, and we're going to, because why else would we do a show if we weren't going to get nitpicky?
Yeah, sure.
Look, Missouri gave up 0 points in this game until like 38 seconds left in the game. Mm-hmm. Garbage minute, backup, blah, blah, blah. They scored a touchdown, whatever. Other than that, we shut out this team. So you think, oh, perfect, good. Defense, good. But honestly, Colin, they did not have the defense just didn't look as vicious as I kind of guess would have hoped against the Central Arkansas. And a lot of the times where Central Arkansas couldn't get a drive going, it wasn't so much that our defense was just overwhelming them. It was that they dropped passes.
Well, I think part of what you're getting there is like, you're not going to run a bunch of stunts against the Central Arkansas Bearcats. You're not going to,
no.
You're going to be playing a 4-man front. You're not going to bring blitzers. I mean, it's just not, you certainly didn't see the pressure that they may be able to dial up against this football team. But I get what you're saying. They weren't. I guess again, on either side of the ball, that I feel like the Mizzou
got penetration on us that I wouldn't have liked.
Dominating the line of scrimmage. Neither side of the ball was really doing that. But again, you're nitpicking. It's
yep.
It looked fine. I mean, we're going to know a lot more after this week because we're going to play a Power 5 opponent. But yeah, it just. I was so happy. I think all Mizzou fans were just so happy.
Yeah. This is, I mean, what do you have to complain about, right? Like, this is a cupcake. There's nothing you can do but disappoint. And all we did was rack up points left and right and have jaw-dropping plays by our new quarterback, who was the biggest question mark of the season.
Marquise Johnson, I mean, looks like he could have a big season.
Coleman
looked great, and especially in the return game, which is always helpful. There's a lot of things to be excited about. There really is. Maybe we're going to have trouble with the teeth of the schedule to an extent, but the team just looked, even after this one game, like, hey, this is a team that, have explosive playmakers, and so maybe they bottle us up a lot, but Hardy's going to break something eventually. Pribulo's going to make a play, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we've had plenty of Mizzou offenses that stagnated, and you knew they could stagnate. You understood why they could stagnate because they just didn't have an electric football player, or not multiple electric football players, So, and we've, since the Drinkowitz has been here, we've had a little of that. We've had, what's the running back that was all world that Cody Schrader and
Tyler Beatty.
Yeah, we have Tyler Beatty, and we've had Luther Burden, and we had Theo Weiss, and I think another guy that is still on this football team that should have people excited is Brett Norfleet. I mean, he's just a big, athletic tight end. He is the first tight end Mizzou's had since Drinkwitz has been here that I'm truly excited about. He's really the first tight end that Mizzou's had in a long time that I'm excited about. You know, if you go back far enough to the Big 12 days when we were really competitive, we always had a really good quarterback. And then I think Albert O, maybe the last guy that I really thought, hey, wow, what an athlete. And even in his second year, of course, he had Kelly Bryant. But, you know, he sort of, I feel, was underwhelming for what I'd hoped he would be that season. But again, Kelly Bryant was probably the most disappointing big-time get we ever got. Like, you know, like, show me how he's appreciably different than Connor Bazelak, honestly. You know, it's just... Which is, again, why it's so exciting to see Pribula do this. I mean, we were all waiting for Kelly Bryant to wow us, and he did nothing in any game that I particularly remember that wowed me at all. And, you know, Pribula did more in this game to excite me than Kelly Bryant did in an entire fucking season.
The team is, I think, as complete as we can hope for at this phase, you know, at this early stage of the season where we're going to have 6 straight home games and we're going to get right into the biggest rivalry game we've got in the season. Obviously, we have to win this game against Kansas.
Tone setter for the season.
It's a tone setter to the season. It, you know, I think that Missouri got some credit for having the Thursday night game because there wasn't much else to watch. So a lot of people were watching this game. People don't have high expectations for Mizzou because all they know is Brady Cook and Luther Burden. Both of those guys are gone.
And if they've been listening to SEC people, they're like, well, you know, Missouri's good for you. And it's like pat on the head. But, you know, they're still going to finish, you know, 13th in the fucking conference.
That's right. 7-5. Missouri 7-5.
Yeah.
And so
that's what they expect. So when they see Pribula and Hardy and this Mizzou team go off on a Thursday night, they're like, wow, I did not see this coming.
Look, a lot of these guys, even if they're not watching the game, they're watching these highlights and they are fucking explosive, you know, and got Joshua Manning, who is the guy I'm hoping for would be a major target this year.
Boy, he had one catch that was phenomenal.
Oh, I know. That guy can catch fucking anything. And so you've got him. You've got Coleman, who looked fucking great and looked like to be one of Pribula's favorite receivers.
Yeah. He's going to be awesome in the slot.
Marquise Johnson. I mean, there are targets available. They were all, I mean, Central Arkansas, they were open. You know what I mean? Pribula was throwing darts. That was another good thing to see that this guy, when he was in Penn State, when he was being played, he was running the football. I think he had like 5 attempts.
Yeah, the knock on him was like, I mean, in the first half, he surpassed his career passing total. He'd never thrown, I don't think he broke on 100 yards. I think his best passing performance to that point had been like 99 yards.
Yeah. So, you know, that's exciting. Anybody who's just a casual observer saw that and gives Missouri a lot more credit. I'm seeing us getting top 25 votes already, even though it's just Sunday night. And, you know, a lot of the things that we were concerned about, Colin, I will say, this is just things you see the first half of the first game of the season. This is why you schedule bloodletting games, is because you're cutting your teeth. You're raw. It's new season. I've seen a lot of football this weekend, and a lot of teams maybe ran up big scores on bad opponents, but didn't come out of the gate in the first quarter and look all world because it's early days. Like this was as much as anything a glorified practice for the Tigers. This is what it's like to play
games should be.
Under the lights with a big crowd, with a team who wants to beat you, even if
it's a warm up for the team. It's a warm up for the fans. It's a warm up for everybody. And now the season starts.
Yeah. And so the reality that we are now facing, I think, is a good one. While we have some concerns in depth now with some injuries, everybody who was playing on the field looked like they could play at the highest level and we're ready to go. And God, I mean, we just come off of 2 10-win seasons, and early into both of those seasons, we didn't look this sharp.
Yeah. Well,
you know, I had questions. I'm like, I don't know about this.
Part of the reason they're getting credit is because the SEC didn't look particularly sharp.
That's true enough.
Even in the bloodletting games, Mizzou looked as impressive as any of them.
Yeah.
And so I think that gives them a lot of credit too. They're just like, hey, they looked good. You know, they looked better than a lot of these teams that are picked to be better than them. I think that were playing cupcakes.
Yeah. There were a few games that mattered. We'll get into that later. It wasn't just cupcakes. I think, you know, a couple of favorites. Georgia had a cupcake game, so we still don't know just how good. And obviously, they're good, but how good are they? We don't know. Alabama had a tough game. LSU had a tough game. We saw how those.
I bet we sneak into the top 25 because I think about a team like Boise State. It's like, how were they there? Why were they there? And, Mizzou looked a whole lot better than them. I would say that they're going to disappear.
Yeah.
But, if we're not in the top 25, we'll be shocked because really, I think a lot of people would have said this is a top 25 team, even though they didn't make it. I think a lot of people would be like, hey, they're on the bubble. And this probably firmly puts them off the bubble and into the top 25, I would think.
We also saw just a lot of players from the portal come in and just take off really well.
Yeah.
Trotter, I'm thinking about.
Trotter looked good.
Toriano Pride, guys.
The defensive end from Georgia.
Transfer, yeah.
Williams, I don't know. This is why you should be smart to do a podcast about a sport that you're supposedly following. But he looked phenomenal. He had like 2 sacks. He looked all over the place. There were highlights. There were players all over the field that looked like they could make plays.
Yeah.
The number of playmakers on both sides of the ball, to me, looks like it might be the most Drinkowitz has had.
Even with some of the flaws we saw in the offensive line, it wasn't necessarily that we didn't have athletes. It was that they looked out of position. They weren't communicating well. They made mistakes, things that can be cleaned up. Yeah, things that you expect in week 1. It wasn't getting pushed around, didn't have the strength, didn't have the capacity, wrong guy in the wrong position. It wasn't that kind of stuff that you just as unfixable in a season.
Well, in controversial take, I think not having Luther Burden might, in a way, improve the offense from the standpoint of like, there's going to be 3 legitimate receivers. And I think there was obviously times when they were trying to force the ball to Burden. And why not? He's a phenomenal athlete who's in the NFL right now and who had as much shake after the catch as any person you could imagine. So get that guy the ball. But I think sometimes at the expense of the Norfleets and the Marquise Johnsons and the Theo Weises. And now Theo Weiss had a great season. But I think this year, the ball's going to get spread around a lot more. I think, Marquise Johnson fills that deep threat role and Coleman fills sort of the underneath stuff. And Manning, I don't know exactly what Manning is yet, but every time I've watched him play in the limited snaps he's gotten, he's looked good. And I think the receiving core is going to be good. You stack that Norfleet on top of that. Pure Blue's going to have no shortage of targets and targets who should be able to catch the ball and make plays once they have the ball.
And another thing with Luther gone, nature abhors a vacuum, and there is a vacuum in who the number 1 receiver is going to be, who the star of this offense is going to be. And so all of these guys are hungry because they're making their case for, hey, I'm the guy this year.
The ball needs to be in my hands.
And so they're playing extra hard. They're trying to get noticed by the coaches. They're trying to get yards. They're trying to be seen. And it's just going to be good things for Mizzou because it gives Pribula multiple options of guys who are trying to put their best game.
You can't
forward.
roll coverage to everybody, and so like if you're going to try to take away the deep threat, you've got, you can have Coleman in the slot running those underneath stuff. You can have Norfleet there in the short intermediate stuff. And then if they want to try to sit on that stuff, you send Marquise Johnson deep and you start running and gunning for that. And then you mix in Hardy, who, again, looks like to be as advertised. I'm extremely optimistic.
And then you throw in the fact that so they drop back to pass, and none of those guys can get open. Those guys who are so good. Pribula is a playmaker. My God, we saw him. He's a playmaker. So
he's not as big as Cook, and I want them to not need to do the quarterback draws and stuff so much. Especially considering the guy who was competing for the starting job is now probably not ever going to play a snap this season. And Zollers, while he looks good and throws a very pretty ball, you'd hate to be.
Yeah, just situation where you're pube, right?
Yeah, well, you'd hate to be in a situation where you got to put the season on his shoulders.
So, do you think? Obviously, Pribula's fast and can do a lot of things. Last year with Cook, we relied a lot on design runs, and a lot of times they didn't work out very well for Brady Cook. But that was part of the playbook: design runs. Now that we don't have the depth with Horn injured for the year, do you think
if they're not tearing pages out of the playbook, they're being.
I mean, I'm not saying don't run Pribula. You got to run Pribula. That's a huge part of his game. But I think you got to.
It doesn't need to be a third of our offense.
You got to be smarter about how you employ it now because you can't get this guy hurt. He gets hurt, forget about everything.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't do it on first down. You know what I mean? Like it's something hey, it's third and short. We need a first down here. Game's on the line. Of course, that page is going to be available to you on the playbook. All I'm saying is like if you've got a 2nd and 2 in the first quarter, let's not do a designed run for the quarterback into the teeth of the defense. It just seems unnecessary. It's a card we want to be able to play, but I just don't want to get the kid hurt. It's just,
of course,
he is obviously eager for the fray. He is not afraid to make contact, which you love that. You love that in a football player, but at the same time, it's like, hey, this is the SEC. He's been at Penn State, so it's not like he came from some rum-dum school, but you just can't run into the teeth of the defense every week and just stay clean. I mean, look at Brady Cook. I mean, Brady Cook was mired with injuries his entire career here because of that. And he had a great career, but what's healthy Brady Cook look like? We'll never know because he basically spent the 2 seasons where he was starting hurt tons of the time.
Yeah. He was just a tough motherfucker. We know.
He had the toughest heart.
His heart.
This side of the Mississippi.
It was a tough one. So we'll see how tough Pribula's heart is.
Yeah. I'll bet it's, I'm just guessing. I mean, I don't know yet. But I mean, we're talking titanium.
Yeah. That's good. Titanium is not your favorite metal.
No.
But that's another topic. Anyway, we have a lot going on this week. Obviously, it was the first week for everybody in the SEC. We did learn a little bit about some of these teams who, especially the ones that played tougher opponents. A lot of them were like Missouri, had bloodletting games and just got to shake out those as fast as you can. But it was exciting. Football is back with a shot.
We'll go around the horn and talk a little bit about it.
We'll do it all, and we'll get into Kansas news. We have to get into Kansas news, obviously. It's one of the biggest games coming up this week of any in the time we've done this podcast because we haven't played Kansas. We've been doing this podcast since 2014. We haven't played Kansas at all since then. We played Kansas news. There's a whole generation of students who are like, why do we fucking care about Kansas? We're about to find out this week. And I think there's going to be an eye-opening for some of the younger Mizzou fans about how much fun it is to hate the fucking Jayhawks this weekend. But everything I saw from the team against Central Arkansas on Thursday night in a rocking Faroe Field atmosphere tells me we've got an exciting and a fun football season ahead of us.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it after the break. This is the Mizzoucast.
Mizzou football is more than a game. It's a tradition that brings Tigers together, generation after generation. And for decades, one of the simplest traditions has been a symbol of our shared experience, the communal trough urinals. They've been there through victories, defeats, and everything in between. It's about connection, a place where every Tiger, no matter who they are, shares the moment. There are no CEOs or janitors, no hedge fund managers or bartenders. There are only Tigers, standing shoulder to shoulder, united in relief and camaraderie, holding on to hope and their manhood. But now, this unique piece of our history is under threat. Modern renovations could send this tradition down the drain forever. Don't let part of what makes Mizzou special be lost. We win together, we lose together, and by God, we urinate together. Join the movement and sign our petition entitled Save Mizzou's Trough Urinals at change.org, because you can't flush tradition.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Fire Drinkowitz.
We can't do a tush push against Central Arkansas. Oh no, we suck again. Mizzou Blues are in full effect. I might be out on this team already.
Well, this Dirty Dave down in Fort Worth, friend of the mailman. Just wanted to call in and note that we went from horse cocks to players that own horses with cocks. Pretty interesting stuff. See you guys next week at KU. Brennan, shave your beard.
I think it's hilarious that you idiots sat around in the off season and said, how can we make this podcast better in 2025? And your answer was, I know. We'll show them our faces. That'll do the trick.
So we are back, and Colin, it's time to finally be able to do something we haven't done in a long time. Let's go around the horn with the SEC.
We break our bread at Waffle House, our teams are pretty good. We even play some basketball when Jesus says we should. So pour a little bourbon and repeat right after me. We built a church for Saturdays and called it SEC. Loves football.
Well, first of all, let's fire up the Paul Feinbot.
Alabama.
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Let's get started.
Okay, so let's get into it. Obviously, our Tigers played first. We got into that on Thursday night, and then Friday, Auburn took on Baylor, and this was supposed to be one of the big real games of the year because it was a Big 12, Baylor, possible Big 12 potential champion, I guess. Who knows? Who knows what's going on in the Big 12? Fuck them. But Auburn won that game 38-24 in somewhat dominant fashion over.
Yeah, Auburn looked good. I was hoping they just fall flat on their face almost immediately, and they didn't.
No, I'll tell you one thing that I noticed about Auburn was how bright red and sickly Hugh Freeze looked. That guy has aged poorly, and for a guy who we know loves Jesus, he also seems to love to drink.
You think that's what it is? A little cirrhosis?
He almost looked like he had a gin blossom going on. That guy was beet red in the face.
Maybe he's had poison ivy.
Maybe poison ivy of the face. Hugh Freeze doesn't look good, but he had a good win for Auburn in his season opener. It'd be interesting because while they won this game handily, they didn't look frightening to me.
No, but like I said, I thought this would be a game, and like as you said, Auburn kind of had their way.
Moving on, an early game and another big one for the SEC was Texas, and the Arch Manning era was to begin against Ohio State. This one was number 1 Texas against number 3 Ohio State.
Yeah.
And it was close. Ohio State won this one 14-7. It was somewhat of a boring game, I thought, Colin. Part of that was because the defenses were very, very stout, but Arch Manning did not look good. No. And frankly, Texas did not look like the number 1 team in the nation.
No, and I think everybody, it's Ohio State, but
at Ohio State, right? Yeah.
But man, did not look good. They did not look sharp.
Ohio State, I thought, looked like the better team for most of that game.
Yeah, they look like a program that has spent a small fortune on players.
Yeah, that's right. The NIL deals were like the GDP of a small African nation.
Yeah.
But it was a close game, 14-7, but it didn't look great for Texas, who are only able to muster those 7 points with Arch Manning under the helm. And then, let's get into some crappy ones. Ole Miss played Georgia State. Much like Missouri, Ole Miss had a little bit of a slow start in the first half and then pounded Georgia State just like Missouri did with Central Arkansas.
Yeah, Brennan, one might say that they had a paddle fest.
Paddle fest.
Oh.
It was a paddle fest. And frankly, I think we should have used that earlier against Mizzou because it was 61-6, a paddle fest.
That's a paddle fest.
So, I will say this about Ole Miss, who was a top 25 team. It looked like there was a significant drop-off with Jackson Dart now gone for Ole Miss, their new quarterback. Yeah. He found his footing, but I don't know. We'll see what they turn out to be, but I don't know that they're going to have as potent an offense as they did last year. LSU and Clemson, that was a later game. LSU probably had the biggest win of any
and early
SEC
on, I was
team.
like, Clemson's going to win this game. They were kind of, the receiving core there was pretty good, and they looked good, and I was like, LSU's going to shit the bed too. We're going to have to hear about how the SEC
is down this year.
Yeah, they didn't perform.
Yeah.
But no, they eventually pulled it out.
Yeah,
And,
at Clemson.
Yeah.
And so it was an impressive win for LSU, an upset win over number 3 Clemson. So LSU is 1-0 on the year. Georgia had a cupcake game against Marshall, and they did what you would expect. 45-7 was the final score there. It doesn't really tell us anything about this Georgia squad. They're still obviously a big number 1 competitor for the SEC this year. And then I think maybe the most noteworthy game of the week was Alabama going to Florida State to start the season. And Alabama, an opponent for Missouri, number 8 in the country, shit the bed. Lost 31-17.
And really, there was one point.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah.
I passed out from drinking too much.
There was one point in this game where Alabama picked up a muff punt and kind of got within striking distance.
Yeah, 24-17.
And sort of made it look a little more competitive than it really was for most of this game. It was, Alabama did not look very good, and the Seminoles were just putting it on them as far as I could tell. The tackling, Alabama's tackling was so bad. And I really don't know why. I mean, I guess 8 isn't that high when it comes to Alabama, but like their quarterback too is just like a leftover, like he's been around. He just wasn't good enough to have the job until now. So I'm like, what makes you think that guy's going to set the world on fire? So yeah, in true fashion, like Mizzou's going to beat Alabama this year, and they'll be like, well, Brennan, Alabama was down.
Yeah, that's right. Shouldn't count. Don't count.
That's right. Don't count that one. And if we win, it won't count. That's our Twitter will be full of, you beat the worst Alabama team in a decade.
That's right. And 50 years.
Yeah, sure.
In fact,
I guess be proud of yourself.
You should be embarrassed that you won that game. You should be embarrassed. If you lost it, you have no way to win.
Nope.
You're Mizzou. We will never give you credit for anything.
Nope.
So,
let's win the game first.
When we win.
Yeah, win.
So Florida played Long Island and won 55-0.
Long Island, really? They just the island of Long Island.
Yep, that's right. So good job, Florida.
Pete Davison and Colin Jost in a
saltwater taffy.
Yeah,
just Long Island.
They took on the Jersey Shore.
So obviously that's a good win for Florida, 55-0. But the Long Island didn't know there was a football team. Didn't know they had a university.
No.
The Long Island Bearcats go down. Oklahoma beat Illinois State, another absolute nothing burger. This one was 35-3. Great, I guess. Don't learn anything from them. And then Texas A&M beat University of Texas San Antonio 42-24. Another game where it's like, okay, they won handily, but they also gave up 24 points.
I'm glad that's not the score of the game I watched.
Yeah, that's right. And then Tennessee took on Syracuse. Tennessee won this game.
And the most objectively ugly uniform, all like, hey,
you
know what we needed in a Tennessee opponent? More orange.
Orange on orange crime.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see.
The Battle of Sherbert happened.
I was glad to see that Tennessee gave up 26 against a lowly Syracuse squad. I'm hoping for big disappointment from them. I don't really have a feeling where I want an SEC to win every week because I want the SEC to look good. I kind of starting to hate all these teams.
Well, I think part of it was with the playoff. Even if the SEC is, quote, down, if you win enough games, you're going to the playoff. So who cares really? Before you needed to
have impressive wins.
Because you had to make the conference championship game. You needed to win that game just to get a bunch of nerds to pick your name to play in the playoffs. And now it's just like, hey, if you win 11 games, I don't care if your schedule is weak. I'm like, you won 11 games.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe lofty expectations for our Tigers, but nonetheless, you can win your way in despite Alabama being down or Tennessee shitting the bed.
That's right. Speaking of shitting the bed, Mississippi State is going to be doing a lot of that this year. They won 34-17. This is a really bad
incontinence issues in Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi State is not good, but Southern Miss is not good either. And it was closer than they would have liked, I imagine, at 34-17. I'm hopeful that this will be a year that we really spank their little bottoms and maybe have a paddle fest.
Yeah.
Paddle fest.
Oh.
And what, Toledo, Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky won 24-16 to sneak out a win over the Toledo Rockets.
Vaunted Toledo Rockets.
Yeah. I think the only reason we know they're the Toledo Rockets is because Gary Pinkel coached them early on in his
It's
career.
a very minor league baseball mascot.
Yeah. And
When they were handing out mascots, Toledo was at the end of the line.
Yeah. Well, we got some rockets. We got some bottle rockets
left.
Let's just keep rockets.
You can be the 13th Tiger, or you can be a rocket. And they're like, you know what? We'll go rocket.
Because I don't think they're like the Elon Musk rockets going to Mars. They are the bottle rockets that white trash people in their trailer parks lose fingers with. That's the kind of rocket that Toledo is. But Kentucky could sneak out a win against them to go 1-0 on the season. And then Arkansas beat Alabama A&M 52-7.
And did not look bad.
No.
Need Arkansas to be bad, but again, crappy opponent. But
Alabama and A&M. I think you can always count on Arkansas falling apart at the end of the season, which is when we see them.
Yeah, $2 pocket watch hammer mill.
Arkansas is going to have a stretch in the middle of the season somewhere where they give themselves a little hope that they're not garbage, hot garbage.
Yes,
hot garbage.
But they will be by the time we face them, and then they're going to be a guaranteed win for the Tigers, as they are every single year. It's a tradition, old as time. And then, of course, we had Vanderbilt beating Charleston Southern 45-3. This Vanderbilt program, it's interesting. They're built to be spoilers for somebody. Hopefully not the Tigers, because we do face them this year. But everybody's pretty excited at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They got their wily quarterback that gave everybody fits last year, including Alabama, who lost to them. But we'll see what comes of it. We don't know much after a win over Charleston Southern. And then finally tonight, Sunday, when we're recording this, South Carolina won 24-11 over Virginia Tech in another
I don't know what this means.
Boring game.
I don't know what this means. South Carolina looked good, but I don't know anything about Virginia Tech.
They looked okay.
Nothing. The second half, they looked pretty good. They're obviously got a lot of athletes on that team. I can see why South Carolina fans are excited. I'd be excited.
Yeah, but they were winning 10-8 over Virginia Tech at the half.
Agreed.
And they weren't putting it together. That's for sure.
They put it together in the second half, and it was, what's Virginia Tech? I feel like I know nothing about them, and so I don't know if that's a good win or a bad win or indifferent. But South Carolina looked good.
Yeah. So, and that will do it for this week with the SEC team. So let's look ahead, Colin, to next week. Obviously, we know who our opponent is, but some SEC play will begin, and it'll start on Saturday. Ole Miss will be at Kentucky. Number 21 Ole Miss, as it sits currently, will be taking on the Kentucky team that could barely beat the Toledo Bottle Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then Texas is going to have a get-right game against San Jose State. I think Arch Manning will lick his wounds there.
San Jose Bearcats?
I believe the San Jose State Bearcats, correct, possibly. And then Texas A&M will be doing the same thing against Utah State.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M is 1-0, however, on the season, so they're going to have another cupcake game. Georgia faces Austin Peay. We're still not going to know anything about Georgia after that one.
Bearcats, am I right?
Austin Peay. Let me look this up. Bearcats. That's
that was
correct.
My thought.
Yep. Tennessee is playing letter school, Eastern Tennessee State University, ETSU, to you and me. And their mascot is, do you know who they are, Colin?
I don't.
They're the Bearcats.
Okay, good.
So Florida is going to be taking on South Florida, which, funny enough, South Florida is also the Bearcats.
Bearcats.
Yep. Arkansas is taking on Arkansas State. This is a little bit of a surprise if you don't know Arkansas State. They are the Red Bearcats.
Good. Yeah.
So South Carolina then faces South Carolina State. No surprise here. This is South Carolina State is represented with their mascot of Bearcats. It's going to be a real exciting week in the SEC. LSU is taking on the Louisiana Tech Bearcats, and Mississippi State will be facing the number 11 Arizona State Sun Devils. This will be at Starkville, Mississippi. Like I said, I don't think Mississippi State's very good. Arizona State obviously is.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows if Mississippi State can win at home against a Pac-12. Well, Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. Former Pac-12 opponent who's in the top 25 in Arizona State. That'll reset some expectations for them. But I wouldn't expect any magic. I'm certainly not going to bet on Mississippi State. Oklahoma, this is going to be probably the best game. I think this is maybe the ESPN game day game.
They're going to come sweeping across the plain.
That's right.
As I've been told.
Yeah, they'll be hosting a number 14 Michigan. So another.
What is Michigan this year? I don't know.
What is that? What are they?
You know what I mean? I think they're not that good, honestly. So.
They are the what's left of a cheating, shitty program full of pieces of shit.
That's how you know college football is broken. Like, everybody that was involved in that basically is gone now.
Yeah.
And NCAA is like, we're not going to punish.
Oh, how brutal. Nobody felt this bullshit more than Missouri fans who endured probably the biggest and last NCAA spanking for a bullshit tutor who acted on her own accord to suckle on the cocks of everybody she tutored. So
I didn't know that was. Yeah, okay.
I'm assuming. I'm just riffing on what I assume happened. I haven't read the report, but there was a lot of cocksuckling involved, I assume. And Missouri got beat down for that. But Michigan wins a national title, clearly cheats. Their coach gets fucking show cause, can't coach in college football anymore. And they're like, well, we really don't want to hurt the kids now, the kids who play now. I'm like, oh, suddenly we care about that.
Well, you know what drives me crazy about this is we all have to pretend that it's not complete bunk. That the coaching staff was like, oh, we didn't know he was up to no good.
No,
John Harbaugh had no idea. Or which Harbaugh is it?
Jim Harbaugh.
It doesn't matter. A Harbaugh was like, oh, he was oblivious to it. Nobody knew this guy was doing it. I'm like, give me a break. Everybody was in on it. They were cheating.
They're cheating cheaters.
I don't want to... the fact that any Michigan fan or anyone else can say with a straight face, like, oh, it was sort of like this isolated incident with this one bad apple, like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
But it doesn't matter. There's an absolute pat on the wrist, and they get to keep their national championship, even though they are the Michigan Astros, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
So Oklahoma, we will find out whether Oklahoma's back, because I think they are.
They may be back.
It'll be interesting as a Missouri fan, obviously, because we do face Oklahoma again this year, and we're going to have to do it in Norman. So if they are good, yikes. But I'm hopeful that Oklahoma sucks. Like I said, I'm not rooting for the SEC this year. I'm not like, oh, we need to win all these SEC games to prove the conference. Fuck the conference. I want Missouri to be good.
Yep. And everybody else can hang.
Look, they shit on Missouri all the time. I'm completely gone, like, wear the black hat in this whole deal. I'm like, don't try to be SEC. Don't even fucking chase it. What do you want to do? Do you want them to love you? Forget it. Just win games and let them hate you. That's what I'm about.
Well, it's kind of like, well, never mind.
Not going to go down that road?
No. That's a road I wasn't going to go down, but I decided not to.
Now I'm excited about it. Now I'm curious. But anyway, Auburn will face Ball State. So Ball State Bearcats, as we all know. Vanderbilt will take on Virginia Tech, the Virginia Tech team that just got beat by South Carolina. So who knows? We'll see, I guess, what Vanderbilt looks like in comparison to South Carolina, which will be something we need to know. And then Alabama will have a get-right game against the University of Louisiana Monroe Bearcats.
Louisiana Monroe is a team that just like is perpetually, like, is their entire season just rotating through the SEC, taking their beatings and hammering their checks?
It's big checks.
Do they have a conference, or they're just one of those teams that just bounces from SEC program to SEC program to SEC program, taking a throttling.
And then they just laugh all the way to the bank. Sorry, 19-year-olds who got their ass fucking handed to them and their knees blown out, but the coaches are getting rich.
That's right.
And the athletic program's getting rich. Who knows? And then the final game of the docket for the SEC in week 2 is, of course, our Missouri Tigers hosting for the first time in well over a decade the Kansas Jayhawks, who have been ducking us and dodging us and crying about us for 14 years now.
Did you see their coach? He made some reference, like, I think that the team across the border there is, more disliked or something to that.
State.
Like, oh, really? I was like, I feel like Kansas is pretty universally hated by everyone who's not a Kansas fan.
And Kansas, I mean, yes, they have...
Maybe people's feelings about Mizzou is indifference, but I feel like everybody hates Kansas.
Everybody hates Kansas. If they don't, there's something rotten in their core.
Yeah.
I mean, Colin, they marched out Mark Mangino last week to talk shit on us.
March is a strong word. They rolled him out in a wheelbarrow.
That's true. I mean, Mark Mangino, for those...
And it was one of those industrial-sized ones that's like heavy duty from like a job site. Not the stuff you get at like Ace True Value that you use in your garden. Like, this is a
A real heavy duty one.
Or big one. It was a biggie.
And for our younger listeners, viewers who don't know who Mark Mangino is, he's most famous for obviously chasing Indiana Jones in the opening scenes of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm not sure that's going to help the young folks.
No, is that right? Well, that's what he's famous for.
Yeah,
He just
sure.
Nearly got him.
Yep.
But anyway, so that will be coming up, and it's going to be an exciting one for the Tigers. I think we're going to have to be talking a lot about that one because we've been dogging on Kansas for, since 2014, 11 years now.
It doesn't seem like that long ago.
I know. That's when this podcast started, and all we've done is talk shit about Kansas. We're finally getting our opportunity. God, we better win this game.
Well, and even if it wasn't Kansas, you got to win this game. It's at the beginning of the season. Like, again, you just don't want to derail things by losing to a bad football team. And not that Kansas is a bad football team, but they're not.
They're not a top 25 team.
Yeah, I mean, they're a competitive football team, but if you want to have the season you want to have, you got to win this game. And then there's just the gravitas of it being our longest and oldest rival. And, for my money, probably the most vicious rival in sport, of college sport. I know there are, Michigan State, or, like everybody's got their rival, but like this one is old. And it's cold, burning, seething rage. There's two states, two programs that just loathe each other.
Loathe is the right word. It is going to be brutal, and obviously it's going to be very impactful for a lot of Mizzou fans who probably have never been a part of it, and now they're going to get their opportunity. And I think Mizzou fans, just from the Thursday night game, which was packed, solid, it's going to be the electricity in Columbia next week is going to be something like
I know Caleb the Twink may not want to hear this, but I'm sort of looking for them just jam Hardy down their throat until they choke on him. And as soon as they start bringing everybody into the box, then you should start whistling it all over the field. But I feel like Hardy is the next factor for this team. I feel like could be Cody Schrader-esque. I don't know if we have that level of line, honestly, but he is a pretty exciting back. Anybody who moves that well, is that big, is that fast, even in a world full of premier athletes in the SEC, he's going to stand out on a football field, sort of in the way like, Luther Burden did. There are those guys that, there's a lot of good football players on this team, but there are guys that stand out even amongst the best players. And I feel like maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but Hardy might be that guy.
Well, I know that Kansas really likes their quarterback. They really like their wide receiving core. It'll be a good test of this defense.
And I think if there's a core of our defense that can be a little bit like, we're still not sure where they're at yet. The corners are Toriano Pride got the start.
Yeah.
And but they really didn't get much of a test.
Yeah.
And I don't think those positions are as settled as certainly they were when we had Rakestraw. But we don't have that right now. And so I feel like that's a little unsettled. Norwood, I think, is going to be fine. More or less in the defense, I feel okay. The defensive line still, I think, has something to prove. I feel good about the secondary. I feel really good about the linebackers.
Yep.
And really, I sort of feel good about the ends. It's the defensive tackles up front that I need them to be able to stop the run. Honestly,
Yeah.
And so we need to be able to get pressure up front with 4. That would be humongous. That's going to be so helpful to the secondary if you're not having to bring extra guys.
And this is a defense that did not produce a turnover until very late into garbage time against Central Arkansas. Mm-hmm. If we can get that passing game to produce a turnover early and in a pivotal moment, that could be a huge X factor in this game as well, and let Pribula and company
I feel like this game's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be down to the wire because it's Kansas and it's a rivalry game. That's just kind of the way it goes. Or I think alternatively, it might be if Mizzou can get on them early and then, like I say, force a turnover, score again. I think there's also a world where Mizzou sort of, knocks them out early.
Yeah.
And they're trying to play catch up the rest of the night. And I feel like that is a possibility. But I just don't feel like it's going to be the middle of the road. I feel like it's going to be Mizzou is going to get them and basically be a bloodletting, or it's going to be one of those games where we're going to be shitting tacks all the way to the end.
Well, one of the things that's been popping up this week that is going to be a factor in this game is that Mizzou has been putting out hot and heavy narratives and things to tell the fans, do not rush the field, no matter what happens. They're saying, like, hey, we don't rush the field against a lowly team like Kansas. Well, that may be true, but what they're really after is that there's new rules, and if you do rush the field, it's going to cost you $500,000 per game that you do this, and the money goes directly to your opponent. So,
I don't like that.
These are new rules to get people off the field. Obviously, they're well-founded in that when students rush the field, when fans rush the field, it causes a massive security nightmare, and that guys could risk getting hurt. We've seen close calls in games past where that could happen. But at the same time, don't yuck my yum. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't think we necessarily have to win this game, but if we fucking beat Alabama, don't tell me we can't rush the field. Somebody's going to pay, some rich donor's going to pay that $500,000 check, and we're going to get down on the field, and we're going to have a good fucking time. I don't want to hear about, like, we don't do that. We're better than that. No, we're not. We're not better
We're
than
not
that.
better than anything.
We beat Alabama. We're getting down on that field. We're going to have a good fucking time. Those field goal posts are going to be at Harpo's, getting sawed up. Everybody's going to be getting laid. It's going to be a party.
Yeah.
So who cares what the SEC rules are? Good luck stopping us, rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
They're meant to be broken, so I
that's
hear.
right. But first, we've got to beat Kansas, and there's a lot on the line. I think we're going to see shit all week long about this. People are going to be
It's going to be fun,
fucking
folks.
excited.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun online. I'm ready to see the Mizzou faithful on Twitter just fight with people online. I just don't have the energy for it anymore.
I don't know, but we've been on TikTok recently. We just got on TikTok. We posted some stuff, and we're already getting shit in the comments from Kansas fans. I'm like, they're out there. They exist. They're pretty excited. It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
So,
and it's the reason we're going to do a certain segment that we've become so famous for.
Why don't we close out Around the Horn right now, and we will get right into it. It is time, for the first time this year, for Kansas news.
Well, I always heard there were three kinds of suns in Kansas. Sunshine, sunflowers, and sons of bitches.
Our first story of the day. Kansas babysitter checking for monsters finds man under bed.
Well, does it say whether he was a monster?
I'm sure that he was. He was from Kansas. In Great Bend, Kansas, a babysitter routine bedtime check turned into a bizarre real-life nightmare when she discovered a 27-year-old man under a child's bed. The babysitter initially investigated after the child complained about a monster under the bed, only to find the unexpected intruder. Startled, the man bolted from the home, triggered a chaotic foot chase through the neighborhood before police arrested him. Authorities later identified the suspect as someone with prior connections to the home, although details remain limited.
Yeah, that's legitimately scary and creepy and completely Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that uncommon. I mean, I think squatters just live underneath beds in most homes in Kansas, waiting for meth to drop below for the kid to drop their meth. Yeah. So he now faces multiple felony charges, including aggravated kidnapping, aggravated burglary, and child endangerment, and is being held on $500,000 bond, which is utterly unpayable in Kansas.
Yeah.
The unsettling incident went viral online, both for its disturbing nature and sparking discussions about how this is typical behavior in the state of Kansas.
Sure. Like, how do we get a handle on this?
Next story. Kansas Archbishop alleges satanic group stole sacred wine and wafers for upcoming Statehouse Black Mass.
Yeah. What do you want to bet they have nothing to do with the saint and it's just a bunch of weirdos being like, hey, there's free wine if you break into the Catholic Church.
It's quite possible. The wine could be stolen by anybody. Archbishop Joseph F. Noman from Kansas City, Kansas, filed a civil suit in Leavenworth County District Court against Michael T. Stewart and Travis Roberts, leaders of the Satanic Grotto.
Oh, well, I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, the lawsuit sought the return of consecrated hosts and wine, alleging the group had unlawfully obtained these sacred items in preparation for a black mass planned at the Kansas State House. Noman's filing read explaining that such sacred objects could only have ever fallen into Satanist hands through devilish design.
Ooh, play on words.
Yeah, that's right. It sounds like he was having a little fun with this.
Yeah.
The petition emphasized that consecrated hosts and wine are the property of the Catholic Church and underscored the immeasurable significance.
That's pretty measurable.
They could measure it. The Archbishop stated, consecrated hosts and wine are in fact the body and blood and soul and divinity of Christ and property of the Catholic Church, Inc. However, during the hearing, Stewart and Roberts admitted under oath that they did not actually possess any consecrated hosts or wine, stating that the Lord of Darkness has nothing to do with it, and that the sacred snacks came from Pope Amazon, referring to the fact that he bought them online, and so the court case was dismissed.
So this is a complete non-story. So am I to believe that they just had this stuff for some sort of weird satanic mass, and he saw they had that stuff, and he's like, hey, it could only have come from one place. They obviously stole it from me.
I assume so. The weird thing is that did the church actually have the stuff go missing, or did he?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the story seems to lack a certain. It sounds like he's just like, hey, because it was a civil matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, if you feel like if they broke into a church, it might be considered criminal.
I feel like the Archbishop was either doing marketing on behalf of the Satanic Church,
yeah,
or that
he didn't have much to do that day.
He didn't have much to do that day.
We live in such a conspiratorial world now, Brendan. It's he probably just made up his own little narrative in his head and took it all the way to court.
Or he just got hungry one day, ate some hosts, and wanted to blame it on the Satanists.
Yeah, he's like, he got a little peckish for unleavened bread.
The next story is swirling black ring of sky, unrelated, terrifyingly looms over Kansas town. I ain't never seen nothing like it, quotes Kansas resident. Bonner Springs, Kansas resident Frankie Carnan halted his motorcycle ride when he came across an astonishing sight in the sky. A large, dark, swirling ring of smoke with ominous-looking wisps drifting downward. He captured the eerie phenomenon on video, exclaiming how in his nearly 50 years he had never seen anything like it. The footage quickly went viral, drawing local and national attention. Weather experts offered the explanation, likening it to a smoke vortex, a rare effect resulting from an explosion where rapidly rising air traps smoke into a ring and due to differential air movement. AccuWeather and other experts agree that such smoke rings are typically man-made, often born of controlled burns, industrial mishaps, or pyrotechnic events, not paranormal activity. Though unusual, as a gateway to hell, this type of phenomenon is not uncommon or unexpected in the state of Kansas.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume if you're a Kansas resident, you see a black swirling, hole in the sky, you're just assuming like, oh, it's the devil.
Yeah, he's just out for, he's probably getting some more hosts for his next black mass.
Yeah, exactly. Just stopping by the church.
That's right. That's what happens whenever Satan comes by. And our final story of the day. And in our final story of the day, Kansas took on Wagner. That's right, Wagner, the Wagner Bearcats, and won 46-7. Kansas is now 2-0 on the year after wins over Fresno State and Wagner. They have every reason to think they could kick anybody's ass.
Well, when you put it on Wagner.
Yeah. And Fresno State?
Yeah.
Look out. Yeah, obviously, Kansas has been able to put up a lot of points against teams that you didn't know existed.
Yeah, some pretty blue-chip college football programs.
Now, look, I know our win comes over Central Arkansas, and that's not great. But we're also not trying to pretend like we're the number one team in the nation because of it. But Kansas is really high on the hog, thinking that they're really doing something. So
I feel like if there's a low bar for Kansas fans to feel like things are going right. I mean, they were so bad for so long. Like, look at us. We just put it on Fresno State, and then we put it on Wagner. And because there was a time when they may not have won those games.
That's right. If you're a longtime Kansas fan, you're like, oh, shit, the Wagner game's coming. But not this year.
I heard
folks.
they've got a guy who's a former D3 quarterback starting for him this year.
Yeah,
they're really going to be good.
They look pretty serious.
There was a garbage man who was a pretty good wide receiver in his day, and he had 1 year of eligibility left. Wagner snatched him up.
That's right.
And
they got the guy from Quantum Leap.
Yeah, so it's maybe they're being chesty for a reason.
So that'll do it for Kansas news. Our final thing we're going to do every week is, of course, our awards segment. Sure. And our first one, Colin, is to give out the TJ Moe douche of the week, obviously named for our once great slot receiver turned douchebag, TJ Moe. Do you have candidates for douche of the week, Colin?
Well, initially, I thought I was going to say, hey, this has got to be Clemson. If you didn't hear the story, LSU had a safety who had gotten in trouble in the last game, was supposed to sit out a half or whatever. The season ended. It's supposed to carry on to the following season. He transferred to LSU. SEC didn't realize it. LSU didn't realize it. You know who did realize it? Clemson. And so they dropped a dime. And I thought, that's kind of douchey, but competitive advantage. What do you say what you will?
Fucking rat.
Yeah. But then I saw Ryan Day.
Oh, boy.
And Brendan,
Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. Is that what
we
we're
have a
talking
photo?
Yeah, here we go.
And so, if you'll look to there, you'll see on his shirt.
Yep.
That
Lower right of your screen.
It's like a nipple stud.
That's right. A barbell stud on his left nip.
Unbelievable. Who do you think you are? Ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I've told you this before, Colin. Ryan Day is one of the most douchey guys we've ever seen. We saw him in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. He gives off, who was it? The television.
Billy Mays.
Billy Mays, the online retailer.
OxyClean.
Yeah. Billy Mays was put a split screen here. Billy Mays and Ryan Day.
Hi, Billy Mays here.
May be the same guy. Billy Mays is supposedly dead.
Yeah, and I don't know if Billy Mays has, his nipples pierced.
We have to assume he at least has a Prince Albert.
Sure. But Ryan Day he's obviously, dyeing his beard.
Yeah.
It looks like he's taken shoe black to it.
It doesn't look good.
No. And now he's got his nipple stud.
That's right.
What are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you this. After a big win over Texas in the first game of the season, it's every reason that thing's going to be very pronounced and hard. He's excited.
He's going to be one of those guys when he's old who wears a Speedo to the beach. You know what I mean? Like he's super.
He is old. He's like 55 years old.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and he has a fucking barbell in his nipple. This is Ohio State's head coach we're talking about.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not some Instagram model, where you expect to see that sort of thing. Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, and
we give out a weekly award called Douche of the Week.
What could be douchier than a 55-year-old man?
What identifies yourself as a douchebag more than a fucking barbell?
And like in the off season, he probably goes on trips or whatever. He can't wait to whip his shirt off and be like, "Hey, check out how young and hip and cool I am with my nipple stuff."
Yeah, just got to look right below my no regrets tattoo, and there it is.
Yep.
So
anyway, douche of the week,
Ryan Day. Our next award is the Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Game.
And for those of you who don't know who Kirk Farmer is, he was a former Mizzou quarterback who had the most immaculate golden locks the world may have ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Boy, to run your hands through them.
Oh, don't get me started. But we use his hair as the embodiment of a football player from each week who has done fantastic things as fantastic as those golden curls. And this week, there's really only one choice.
Right. The glowing performance of our starting quarterback, Bo Pribula, is obviously what earned the
He'll
award.
wear the mane.
That's right. Yeah. Congratulations to you. You are our week 1 winner of the Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Game award.
Yeah.
And by a long shot.
Yeah. 82% completion percentage.
Yeah, he had 23 for 28, I think. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 2 in the air. What could you ask for a guy who was really only supposed to play half, and we just didn't know what we were going to see? He impressed people not just in Columbia, but nationwide. That's why Missouri's getting a lot more chatter, and people are taking us more seriously because of what he's done.
Listen, if the line plays, if the line can make it work, we have got talent all over this offense.
Yeah, if we hold the line, we should have no problem moving the ball against anybody in the country.
No, there's so many options for this young man to deliver the ball.
And
he's got his legs. He's got his running back.
He's a guy who admittedly came into this program and didn't know much about the team, didn't know much about its history, didn't know much about Columbia, didn't know much about Missouri. So I just want him to know the impact of winning this award, the Kirk Farmer's Hair Player of the Week award. how big a deal that is.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not his last.
He's going to get a front row view this week to Missouri. Like, this is what Missouri football is, because it's going to be crazy. It's going to, I mean, I'm assuming the stadium atmosphere is probably going to rival like January 6th or something like that.
Sure,
you know, it's
sure.
Gonna be,
The
it's
intensity
gonna be
and passion, for sure.
Yeah.
And the patriotism.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that from what I heard last week, there was a lot of trouble folks getting into the stadium because of all the construction going on, and there was just the fact that it's week 1 and they're packing the stands and people are just pouring in. It's not even going to touch what next week. Get there early. I mean, Jesus Christ, you better get there early if you want to get in the stadium and see kickoff, because it's going to be packed to the gills and people are going to be so jazzed about it. And
I've definitely seen a transition in Missouri fandom over the last decade, and there's an enthusiasm now. You know, being part of the SEC, being part of the college atmosphere, college football just continues to grow in popularity. It's become a flex to go to the Mizzou game, to be a Mizzou fan, to be, you know, it's all. The fan base is bought in right now in a way that I just cannot remember. Even in the Chase Daniel days, where we were, you know, obviously the fan base was bought in, but like there is just a sort of
sorry, I couldn't hold it anymore.
There is just sort of a cachet that comes with being in the SEC and having an exciting college football program, and you can just see it all over the stadium. I especially see it in not just the students necessarily, but there's that sort of the millennial generation that's, you know, coming to money now, and they're buying the season tickets, and it's when you walk through the parking lot, it's young. You know what I mean? Like this, people have bought in. This generation that's kind of coming into their Mizzou fandom really don't have a reason to. They lived through some lean years, but maybe because they lived through some lean Mizzou years, now they're like, hey, we're good now, and I'm going to enjoy this. And it's, I don't know, Mizzou's got a great atmosphere right now. And
I think part of it, Colin, isn't just the lean years, though. I mean, these are folks, say, if you're a college student at Mizzou now, you were growing up, you were 10, 11 years old, you were seeing the 2013, 2014 SEC champion. You're making Mizzou fans at a young age. And even though there have been ups and downs since that time, you have seen us basically only be an SEC team, have success in the SEC. And then of late, as you enter this, you know, college era, 10-win season, 11-win season, bowl game wins, a lot of, you know, just like hype around this program. Yeah. And frankly, just even looking at it on TV, even though it's just still a construction project, I've gone on and on about it. I think this north end zone is going to be transformational. It's going to wall off the sound. It's going to be a much louder stadium. You're not going to be, it's not going to be open-ended. And you can just see from the construction that exists already, it looms large. It's huge. It's just, we look like a big program. We're acting like a big program. We have the athletes like a big program. We have depth like a big program.
Well, I mean, we should. We're the preeminent state school in the state of Missouri, and Missouri is, you know, not California or Texas, but it's, you know, got a bigger population base than many of its surrounding states, and you know, there's no reason that Missouri shouldn't draw. There's no reason Missouri shouldn't elicit a great deal of pride from the state, and the fans and the stands should be full.
And while there are still like opposing fans that dog on Missouri, and that'll never go away, it's that way for every team. I feel like the media is starting to change the way they talk about Missouri, and we're forcing them, even if they don't like us, to drag us into the conversation.
I think part of it too is just like, if you look at the people covering the SEC right now, like it's the voices are younger and younger and younger. You know, some of the old heads from the old SEC media were like, "Ugh, Mizzou's going to become to the SEC. They don't belong." Well, like you said, we've been a decade now, and there's people that don't know Mizzou not in the SEC. Some of which may be very young, you know, media types now. So it's going to be, you know, this whole Big 12 sort of Mizzou doesn't belong thing. You can say it as long as you want, but they should say it about Arkansas in 1993. And now who doesn't think Arkansas is SEC? I mean, at some point,
I don't.
You could. I mean, at some point, you just are. And I think the media is softening on it because a lot of those old heads are, hopefully dying, but maybe just retiring. And they're just aren't, kicking us in the nuts because they don't think we belong.
The color analyst for the Central Arkansas game was Aaron Murray, who was the quarterback for Georgia in Missouri's first SEC game back in 2012.
And he lost.
Yeah, he won that game.
Oh, was it the next year?
Yeah, we won in 2013. But anyway, the fact of the matter is he's now in the booth, and he remembers Missouri as a college student, as an SEC opponent, right?
Exactly.
So, anyway, just goes to what you're saying. It could be high times for Missouri. We've got a lot of winning to do before this season pans out, but we have a lot of reason to be optimistic. And despite some bad injuries and some questionable play at the line, I mean, there's always question marks for any team.
Sure.
So we're picking nits at 61-60 against Central Arkansas, going in against Kansas, and hopefully we get to break out that paddle again.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to be there, and we're excited for it. Till then, MIZ.
ZOU.